Hey, I'm Randy Younger, New York City's go to film enthusiast. Every week, I dive deep into the world of cinema with special guests from the New York City film scene. Whether I'm interviewing industry insiders or comparing the latest releases, there's always something for every movie lover. Join me as I explore the magic of film and discover what makes these movies unforgettable. Hey guys, I'm Randy Younger, and this is a special edition of Under the Radar, bringing movies and people together one frame at a time. And with me today, I have a very special guest, actor and comedian of the new dramedy All Happy Families, Mr. Rob Huebel. Hey Rob, how's it going?
What's going on, Randy? How are you, buddy?
I'm good, I'm good. Thank you so much for taking the time today. I saw the film the other day, really good, really enjoyed it. And it was just a great portrayal of a truly the dysfunctional family. This is like the poster child of a dysfunctional family, and you were just great in it. I'm just curious, how did you get involved with the project originally?
Well, yeah, Harula Rose is the writer and director of this movie. She wrote it with a guy named Kobe Goss, and they just sent me the script. They just sent it to me. I don't know how they got my email. I don't know. I don't know if it came from my agent, but they just got it to me.
Oh wow,
And they seemed like people that were determined to make a good movie. And so sometimes people send you stuff and you're like, I don't know if this is going to be good or not, but
right.
I'll read the first 10 pages. So I read the first 10 pages of this movie and I was like, this looks like it could be good. And so I
All right.
kept reading. And I just really loved the script. The writing is probably half of the problem when you're making a movie, and they
Mhm.
had solved that problem already. I love the writing, and I love the messiness of this family.
Yeah, it's a very sharp script, so I think you chose wisely, good sir, for this film. Now, obviously, you are a seasoned comedian. But what was it like getting into this film? Because this film is a dramedy. What was it like juggling both the comedy and the
Well, thank you for calling me a seasoned comedian
drama?
and
Yes.
not an old comedian. Uh, no, I love doing stuff like this that is funny but also real and grounded and sounds real and looks real and feels like a real family. So I love doing stuff like that. I mean, I've been very lucky to do a ton of really funny stuff and
Mhm.
really funny comedy shows, sitcoms, movies. But
Right.
to do anything like this that feels a little bit dramatic also, and I think I take that part more seriously. I think I kind of, and I know Josh does too. I think when you come from the comedy world, you're really always kind of worried that you're going to fuck up the drama stuff. And so I
Right,
was
right,
just like, oh, I don't, and especially when you look at this cast, like Becky Ann Baker plays our mom, John Ashton plays our dad, who just passed away in real life.
right.
So God bless him. But those are really good actors and really strong performers. So I think Josh and I both felt a little bit of pressure, like, oh, we're the comedy guys. Let's not
Mhm.
screw up the drama.
Interesting. Yeah, and you definitely mentioned the cast. It's very, very strong. It's an ensemble based. What was it like on set? Was the mood light? Was it more somber? What was that mood like for you?
Yeah, definitely just a fun we shot a ton of this movie in a little house in Chicago. And so
Hmm.
Chicago is a big character in the movie. You can tell that we're in Chicago. All you just have that sort of feeling. And then the cast was just hanging out in this house a lot. And so that makes you come together as actors and as a cast. It sort of forces you to become a family very quickly. And so
Right,
it felt real, it seems real, it sounds real because it kind of is real. For that
right,
month in the summer in Chicago, we're all kind of hanging out, living in this house,
hmm,
sweating our faces off in the
right.
hot, sweltering heat of a Chicago summertime. And so it just kind of forces you to become a family, and feels very real. But when you're not shooting, you're just goofing around, telling stories, telling jokes, and so the mood was very light, and everybody was having a great time hanging out together.
I love hearing that and true collaboration as well. Now I'm curious. So this film is obviously about a dysfunctional family. Were there any similarities between this and your real life family?
It's so funny that you say that because thinking about Becky and Baker and John,
Hmm.
they both remind me strangely of my parents in real
Oh, really?
life. Just John sort of famously always played these kind of gruff, salty Chicago guys, whether it was Beverly Hills Cop or Midnight Run, that's just sort of who he is. And my dad was from Chicago and was kind of a gruff, salty old guy, a lot like John. So he kind of reminded me of my dad, which was really helpful for the movie. Becky reminds me of my mom. So it was very strange for me as a as an actor to be acting with these people that kind of feel like your parents. And then without giving too much away, some things happen in the movie where my character gets into a lot of trouble. And the whole family kind of um, um, implodes a little bit over this weekend, and everyone's mad at me all of a sudden. And I can relate to that in real life. I've felt things not as bad as what this character did in the movie, but
Yeah,
you feel
good.
yeah, but I've had times in my life where I've disappointed, my parents, and I could remember stuff like that. And so it just felt very real to me. They remind me of my parents in real life, and so I could connect to them personally.
Right. That's great. Yeah, I love to hear that. And so obviously you're in this house for the majority of the shoot. Um, and it's a very homey home. It's a house that you could believe an actual family lived in at one point, and that you and Josh Radner grew up in. It's just it's like you said, grounded. It's very down to earth. It feels like it could actually be happening. So I want to commend you and the rest of the crew for making that realism shine through.
Oh, thanks,
So
man. Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
there's something very relatable, I think, about this movie where you can kind of see everyone can kind of see a little bit of their own family in it. Insofar as we all act a certain way around our families. I know that I show a certain side of myself to my parents and my
Right.
brothers, but I act different with my friends and my
Yeah.
coworkers and stuff like that. And I think everyone kind of does that. Everyone kind
Right.
of puts on a little bit of an act for their family. And what's interesting about this movie is you get to see that act kind of like get destroyed. You get
Right.
to see what's really going on with all of these people. They never really kind of um no one in this movie is where they really wanted to be in life.
Okay.
And I think
Yeah.
that's really relatable. I think everyone's kind of like, oh, I wish I'd gotten to do this. I wish I'd
Right.
gotten to achieve this. And I'm frustrated and I'm mad about that. And I think that's something that we all kind of can connect with. And I think this movie does
Yeah.
it in a funny, in a way that's funny at times. So it
Right.
never gets too heavy. It's funny when it needs to be.
Honestly, going into it, I thought this was just going to be another generic family drama dramedy. Uh, but this movie actually has a lot of depth. I think the characters are really drawn very well, and these are like flesh and blood people. Your character included. You actually believe what is happening is actually happening, and it's wonderfully done. Um, Now, obviously, seasoned comedian. I'm curious, stage, TV, movies. Do you have a favorite medium to work in?
I love doing live stuff in front of an audience. I
Mhm.
come from, as you mentioned off camera, I come from the UCB world. I come from Upright
Right.
Citizens Brigade, and doing live comedy in front of an audience. And so that's always in my DNA. Unfortunately, you don't really make any money doing sketch comedy and improv comedy. So,
Right.
you have to go and do these other things. But that is always, to me, the most fun, performing for a live audience. I still get to do a lot of improv here in LA, and
Mm,
that's when I'm most happy, is doing that in front of an
right.
audience. So I love it, and I want to do live comedy until I die.
All right. Sounds good. Do what you love what you do, right? Um, Last question. Are there any comedic actors or comedians that you haven't worked with yet that you'd want to in the near future?
Oh my God, so many, so many. I grew up a huge Steve Martin fan, and he's on my
Nice.
mind because I just watched the documentary about Steve Martin. Um,
Okay.
so he's on my mind because I just love him, and I've always loved um, his his stuff. And so I would love to do anything with Steve Martin. Now I've gotten to the age where I kind of look like Steve Martin.
Getting there.
I've got the gray hair and the glasses just like Steve Martin. So
Right, right.
yeah, I would say Steve Martin, but there's tons. There's so many great, comedians, and I feel like the world needs more comedy right now.
For sure. Definitely. And same question regarding a dramatic actor or actress.
Oh man, I may have already peaked.
Okay.
I peaked when I got to do the Descendants with George Clooney. Like I did
Oh yeah.
this
Wow.
Alexander Payne movie called The Descendants with George Clooney, and
Right, right.
that
Fantastic film. Great
yeah,
film.
that to me, I was like, oh, I don't know if I'll ever get like Clooney is so good. So he was I don't know that I'll ever surpass that one.
Okay. Excellent. So we just have like a few seconds, but I just want to mention real quick that I did actually fairly recently take an improv class, and it was a great experience. It was from a place called Improvolution in Manhattan. I don't know if you're familiar, but
I don't know them, but I encourage anybody
mhm,
to take an improv class. It is the
yeah,
most uncomfortable thing you will ever do. You'll never
right,
do anything that will make you more nervous. I felt
yeah,
nervous for years doing improv.
right. Huh,
And then eventually you realize that we're all improvising every single day.
that's right,
This conversation is improvised. So
right,
we're all just making it up as we go along. And once you realize that, that makes the improv comedy a little bit easier.
for sure. Rob Huebel, I want to thank you so much for your time. All Happy Families will be released in theaters and on digital on demand on October 18th. And yeah, this was just a great chat with you. I want to thank you so much for your time.
Thanks so much, Randy. Great to meet you.
You too. This is Randy Younger with Under the Radar, bringing movies and people together, one frame at a time. We'll see you next time. Take care.